Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Ask Auntie Live. It is going to be absolutely fabulous tonight. If you've never been in a live encounter with me, you are in for a treat. Welcome, everybody. I am Delilah Bartlett, and we are here for Ask Auntie Live. I'm so glad that you are able to join tonight because leadership conversations like this, honestly, they don't happen all the time. I'm talking about honest, human, unfiltered. They just don't happen enough. But before we jump in, I do just want to honor everyone who is here on time because we will get into the meat of things. I am going to be looking at, I got several different screens going on to make sure I capture everybody's questions that are going on. I got, okay, so my YouTube chat happening over here. I got my LinkedIn chat happening here as well. But I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us here live. We are going to answer some questions that may be sticky, that people may feel like I couldn't necessarily ask my boss, or I just don't have a person to ask. I have spent almost 3 decades in operational and people leadership. I started from the bottom and made it to the top 1%. And I say all that to say I have experience in different areas. I've led teams. I've been an individual contributor. I currently own and operate 2 businesses as an entrepreneur. And so I have a range of experience, and I endeavor to be able to share that experience with you. We're going to open up here. I'm going to share maybe 3 minutes of content, and then we're going to get right to your questions. So you can go ahead if you have them to go ahead and start putting them in the comments. I'm actively looking around at the 2 platforms to make sure I capture all comments. But before we jump into your questions, just want to ground us with the truth that changed my entire life. And that is, before we lead people, we have to learn to lead ourselves. Now, most of us weren't taught that. They don't talk about that at work. In corporate spaces, leadership was presented like titles and promotions. And in some environments, it was treated like it was a reward. In others, it looked like performance. But true leadership, real leadership, starts with us. It starts inside of each one of us. So I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about something from my journey in order to help ground us, help you maybe feel a little bit more secure in the conversation. I'm not just here for your tea. I'm spilling my own tea to really kind of knock down some of these walls that like to try to keep us insulated and bound from being as amazing as we were created to be. And so I was leading like everybody else. I found myself trying to get promotions and get the bag. And I was trying to be seen as the hero and was just leading because I thought that was what success looked like, what it looked like out here in the world. And it worked for a little bit until it didn't work. And here's what I discovered when I figured out that it didn't work. I couldn't outperform my identity. I couldn't lead out of when I was not aware of myself and my giftings and the things, right? And we'll always exhaust ourselves if we're trying to lead from performance instead of purpose. I had to learn that. When I finally stopped trying to lead like everybody else and do what they did, I actually saw me. I saw my strengths. I saw my brilliance. I saw my shortcomings too, but I also saw my calling and my purpose. And then everything shifted. That's when I stepped into kind of what I call true transformational leadership. And we'll get into a little bit of that later at another time, but not the leadership that checked all the boxes, right? Oh, I got to have this degree or I got to have this experience. Not the leadership that just manages tasks, not the leadership that needs validation, but this kind of leadership that really, truly transforms yourself. It transforms your teams, your community, your culture, wherever you make impact, your results. And so true transformational leadership begins with 2 key pillars. It's self-awareness and it's self-mastery. Again, we don't have to exhaust all of that. I really get into that in my keynotes and my workshops, but it's really about knowing you and mastering who you are, like emotional intelligence, as well as your gifting. And when I say master, I mean get curious about the things you do really, really well, and really start to refine those and make those stronger. So tonight, as you ask your questions, I want to just set this up in your mind that leadership grows at the speed of your willingness to look inside. Full stop, period. Right? It's there's some things we can get externally, but the biggest shift and change you're going to see is inside of yourself. And so the folks around you, your community, your team, your church, whoever it is that you serve, will never be healthier than you are actually internally. That's just a fact. So you can't go developing leaders if you're still avoiding leadership development yourself. And so I'm hoping the questions that you have tonight really help address some of those things as well as the external things. So in this space, we're safe here. There's no judgment. I've seen it all, done it all. Like, it's a whole situation. No fluff, just truth, clarity, and growth. And so we can go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about some real challenges, some real decisions. I'm going to look over in the comments. I did have a couple questions from a few people. And so if there are none here, I will go ahead and read from those questions. But real challenges, real decisions, real tensions, real aspirations, whatever that it is that you want to talk about, you are welcome to ask your Leadership Auntie live, where real leaders get real answers. All right. All right. So who got questions? I'm going over here to the comments. I don't see anything from my YouTube. I'm going to go through some comments. I'm going to double check LinkedIn from a different device to make sure I'm not missing anybody. And then I'm going to come back and talk about the 3 questions that I actually got in advance. I hope this is valuable to you guys, because one of the things that I definitely realized I could have used along the way was, man, just somebody to ask questions to, somebody where I could safely ask, like, what about this and what about that, without being judged or looked down or like I was asking a silly question. And so I'm endeavoring to be that for you guys. And so I'm just making sure that here on LinkedIn, there's nobody. I see a couple of attendees, but I don't see, I'm going to try to turn this down. I don't see any questions. Okay. So let me get into the questions that I know I have, in hopes that maybe these will help you. And while I'm tracking on YouTube and LinkedIn to make sure there aren't any questions, here are a couple questions that came up, and hopefully they speak to you and they're helpful as well. And so one of the questions, it's back up here. Let's see. All right, here we go. One of the questions was, when you talk about leading, how do I know if I'm leading myself well? And that was a really good question. And the thing that I would say about how do I know if I'm leading myself well, because I started with, if you can't lead others until you lead yourself. I think you really have to reflect on your decisions, and also your peace. And of course, your discipline. Everybody needs discipline. Discipline is how you're self-regulating. If your decisions match your values, and if you have peace that is constantly being stolen, then if your decisions match your values and you have peace that you're actually protected and is not being stolen, then you're more than likely leading yourself well. Leadership is really rooted in self-awareness and the values that you align to. And so I'll give you this example. A time I knew I was not leading myself well. I remember being in a conversation with a leader. And I had a leader, and this leader liked to tell jokes every now and again. And it was like, there wasn't anything vulgar or super crazy, but I just didn't like the way that he made others feel when he told these jokes. And I remember one day thinking in my mind, Delilah, you keep smiling and just shaking your head when actually you don't agree with what's being said. And if you're going to be a true leader, you're going to have to be courageous enough to reflect what you believe. I have to align with my values, exactly like I just told you. My values, my actions should align with my values if I'm leading myself well, and I should have peace. And we went into a situation, and the same, I'll never forget this day. This same manager, he cracked a joke, like he was known for doing. He cracked a joke. And I can remember very uncomfortably sitting there, not making a expression with my face. I was very intentionally just straight. And what landed that day was, this does not align with Delilah. Delilah is a leader who doesn't see making jokes about everybody else as something that's good to do. And so the question that was there was, how do I know I'm leading myself well? You know, because what you're doing, your actions are aligning with your values. So they tell you you need to know your values. We can do some work on that at another time. And you need to be at peace with how you're operating. Okay. So that's a question one. Okay. So, okay, I still don't have a question, a live question. No live question. I'm checking the chats. I don't see any live questions. So let me go into a second question. I'm pausing here a little bit for a dramatic effect, hoping that someone asks a live question. But the very good thing about this is I know this is not going to be our last Ask Auntie Live, because I'm the leadership auntie. I'm the one you roll up with, tap on the shoulder, call up like, hey, I got this situation and I'm wondering if you can help me. And so I know this won't be our last, but let me get into this next question. This was a good one. How do I know? It's around career. How do I know when it's time to move on? I'm going to give a high level general response here because I've moved on from several situations. I moved on from situations where my manager was toxic. I've moved on from situations that did not just serve me well. I moved on from situations that I outgrew. I moved on from situations that I was just being called to something different. But I want to just answer this generally because I think this type of answer is going to be most helpful here. And so, you know, when it's time to move on, when staying costs you more than leaving. So paying attention to the version of you that's showing up at the job, your joy, the things that you desire. Are you drained? Is it toxic? Are you being stifled? Is your voice being minimized? You're paying more to stay there than it will cost you to leave. And that's not just financially, right? That's your peace is a currency. Your creativity is a currency. Your purpose is a currency. And so if you're paying more to stay there than it is for you to leave, then it might be time to leave. Again, I rattled off some scenarios in which I've left before, and those can have a more fine-tuned response. But in general, if you are paying more to stay, then it will cost you to leave. Your future, your destiny is a currency. Are you forsaking and paying your destiny to stay where you are? And so, you know when it's time to leave a place if you're paying more to stay than it would cost you to leave. All right. I'm going back, checking to make sure that if there are any questions, and you know, feel free, just throw them in the chat. The quick question, quick comments. I am here for it. I got me a water. I was going to say I should have had something to drink. But yeah, this is real talk, real leadership, not that fluff stuff. You know, I've been through a lot. I've done a lot. I've had a lot of success. I had a lot of heartache. I've been broken. I've been put back together. And so I have the credentials to be here and available to be a sounding board and a place of wisdom and wealth and knowledge for you to ask questions. Okay, so let me take this sip of water. I only have one more question that I had in advance. So y'all gonna have to kick in with the questions here shortly, or if this is going to be a short session, but that's okay as well. I'll drink this water, go with the third question while I wait to see if anybody is asking anything. All right, let's get into this third question that I had. All right, okay, what do we have? Okay. Let's get into the third question. All right. Oh. Um, Dang. So this is a little difficult one. Well, it's not really. So the question is around team leadership, right? I shared before that I've had the chance to be an individual contributor, to do amazing things, create amazing products, processes, service for organizations, and I've also led teams, hundreds of people, thousands of people, different tiers, multi-tier, multi-dynamic teams I've led. And so the question here is, how do I lead people who it feels like they don't respect me? Um, well, first of all, I would say respect grows from structure and trust, not fear. And so we're not scaring people into to trust to respecting us. So and sometimes the issue isn't you, but it's their unhealed history with leadership. Me and my husband talk about this sometimes. Like when people show up in unhealthy ways, we are reminding ourselves that it's not us. It couldn't be us based on the short interaction we've had or limited time we've had with each other, with a person. It couldn't be us. And so this is something that this person is dealing with. But nevertheless, you're leading this person. And so one things that have helped me in the past is being clear, consistent, and creating boundaries with people who seem like, they want to, this is the leadership auntie, right? So we might talk a little differently here than we would in a boardroom, but with the people that want to buck, right, that want to like get all up in your face and and start ripples all in your organization, and they're saying like all the stuff. And clarity and boundaries with these type of people and consistency is key. So being clear on how you communicate, what your expectations are, what the roles, responsibilities are. So there's the gray area becomes very, very minimal. It's you're operating in black and white. And I know that sometimes that feels rough and it could be very rigid. But I need to kind of box you in, and I need to have candid conversation with you on this feeling of respect. And when I have a conversation with you about this feeling of respect, I'm actually going to talk very objectively. I'm not going to come talk to you about my feelings. I am going to say, when I sat down and said 1, 2, 3, you said ABC, and ABC did not provide value to the conversation, or you did not respond. My expectation is that the leaders who are reporting to me are able to weigh in and respond. I do understand that not everybody processes information the same way. So if you need a moment before responding, I need you to cue me and let me know you need a moment before responding. But I'm going to be very objective with you. So there's no, I'm coming from an emotional space and you make me feel like, no, this is not about feelings. I'm building leaders, and leaders need practical and tangible information in order to grow. And so if you're leading somebody who it feels like they're not respecting you, you want to have conversations. You want to be clear with them about expectations. You want to be consistent with them, especially in this building kind of transition phase where you're moving from where the relationship is to a healthier, more productive relationship. You're going to want to be consistent. You're going to want to give positive feedback as well when they're absolutely killing it. You want to let them know, hey, you're absolutely killing it. I saw you do 1, 2, 3, and it produced the results of XYZ, right? But when you're talking to someone who you feel a certain kind of way, you want to speak to them very objectively. And you also want to check your insides. If you followed me for any duration of time, I would say 3 months, because I tend to say this at least once or twice a year. check your insides. And it pretty much sounds like that. Check your insides. If you're feeling a certain kind of way about things that are going on, sometimes it is the other person, but a healthy leader is going to have some level of self-reflection before they really start to pan out and look at everything and everybody in front of them. They're going to have some level of self-reflection, like what's going on my inside? How did that make me feel? And why did I feel like that? Like, what did the person actually say? What actually happened? And if I'm able to go through some of that inventory and I see where I could have done something differently, then that's what happens. Then I shift and I do something differently. If I go through that inventory and that reflection on the experience, and I see, yeah, you could have done something different, but Delilah, this person was straight out of pocket as well. And of course, these are not words that I'm saying in certain in certain environment, but this is Ask Auntie, so this is the real and the raw. But if they were straight out of pocket, then I'm looking at, okay, so then what did they say, and how, and what impact did that have, and what was my expectation in the moment? And I'm able to go back to the person and say, here's what happened, here's the expectation. Maybe we weren't clear on it, but I'm going to be clear with you going out. And I'm here to help you along the way, right? I'm not just out here like, do it on your own. I'm a builder of leaders. And so I'm never the one to be like, go figure it out on your own. I'm always offering a hand to help people figure it out. So that's a very long-winded question, long-winded answer to what do you do when you're leading people who shady, who sometimes just straight up shady. Yeah, those are things that have helped me. I've had roles where the people who have been shady, I try not to over rotate and give them too much attention, because you will find, like, as good leaders over great teams, sometimes you can find yourself being tempted to over rotate and spend more time on those who are not performing as optimal as those who are high performers. But you got to watch that, because your high performers need your love too. But I am consistent with those who are not performing optimally. Like I'm gonna be in your face a little bit, like you weekly, monthly, whatever it is, we're gonna have a frequency and cadence of meeting, because you cannot be walking around here causing cancer in my team. Like, that's just not okay. We over here doing great things. So I need you to come on, get it together. So those are 3 questions that I had. I'm still checking the chat. I don't see any questions. I do see people live and watching. I appreciate you guys being here. And let me share a couple things, because maybe if I share a couple things, that gives somebody a chance to jump in with their live question. I'm watching YouTube and I'm watching LinkedIn. And I'm here for your questions, career questions, business questions, team building questions, boss kind of questions. Like, I'm here for all of the leadership questions that have been in your head, potentially blocking you, stopping you, just wanting to affirm, reinforce you. Like, I am here for it. And I'm here for it now on here on the platform. I'm here for it in my DMs. I'm here for it. You see me. We're right now in the middle of our latest leadership series, Leading Beyond the Noise. We've done 4 episodes. There are 4 more coming. So this came right in the middle of this current series. And then I just got this fire coming after this year. Like, it will continue to come. Free complimentary notes, strategies, tools, tips, all the things, multi-layered, multi-purpose leadership, functional, corporate, business, like all of it that I've done, I'm coming to share. And I'm coming to share foundationally philosophy that works. And when I say works, mean you will see results. Like, rock with me and you'll see results. And so you can ask here, or you can ask in these other places, but we're going to do some Ask Aunties live, and it'll continue to be great. But since I'm waiting on people to ask questions, let me say, make this one plug. If you do not know, please know that my latest book, which is my first leadership book, is now open for pre-order. DelilahBartlett.com. It's open for pre-order actually only till Saturday. And if you pre-order, it's less expensive than when it's going to hit Amazon. You get the first chapter you'll get immediately in a PDF once you pre-order. And you'll be invited to a a group of people who have pre-ordered, and we'll chop some stuff up around the book. And so from $6 to six figures, closing gaps in unlocking leadership potential. This is all about stuff that stopped me or stalled me. Nothing stopped me. Stuff that stalled me along the way, that I'm like, hey, you need to know this, because this stuff will jump in front of you and kind of cause some delays. And so DelilahBartlett.com, visit there to get the pre-order. Again, pre-order ends on Saturday. I'm not extending it, so make sure you get in. That's something that you should know. Delilah Bartlett Leadership Solutions. Y'all know I retired in the summer and I jumped out and created my own business. And so I'm out here, keynotes, workshops, premier leadership solutions. Like I'm here helping leaders in the now, preparing leaders for the next and the beyond. I got stuff that people not even thinking about and talking about in the leadership development space. Like, because I've lived it. I've lived it. I'm not just someone who has graduated with a degree in organizational leadership, which I have. I'm not just someone passionate about growing leaders from the inside out so that they can live the lives they were destined to live, which I am. And I'm not just somebody who has 30 years of experience in different pockets of life, working with leaders and developing leaders, which I have. Like, I'm pulling all of that together. Everybody, I'm a unicorn. Everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that. And so I just want to come and help everybody out. And so let me look again for notes. Okay, so, or comments. So I don't see any questions in the live chat, but I see people who are looking. So maybe not tonight. Maybe not tonight. Y'all don't want to ask your questions. Maybe another time you want to ask your questions. I'm gonna go over here to comments, make sure okay. I got, like, if y'all were here at my desk, you see my laptop, you'd see my phone, and you'd see my iPad, because I'm trying to make sure if you are asking a question that I am seeing the question that you're asking. Because it's important to me that you have somebody in your corner to answer your questions. What's another? Let me think of one more question, and then I'm going to end it. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to end it. If there are no live questions, let me go back and think about, wow. You know, people talk about imposter syndrome. It's hard for me to go to imposter syndrome, because I'll be one to talk about, oh, look at there. There's a question. How much is the book? The pre-order. Thank you for joining. The pre-order book is about $10, $9.99. $9.99. And it's the first of a series. It's a small, digestible book. It's not 300 pages worth of stuff that you ain't gonna do nothing with anyway. It is small, digestible, actionable steps. So I encourage you to get it. So here's a question. Well, we got a live question. How do you remain inspired when, and I wish I could put this up on the screen, but the question is from Antonio. How do you remain inspired when your leadership isn't inspiring you? I think that's a very great question, because we're a bunch of humans, right? We're a bunch of humans in community with one another. And so we look for inspiration and affirmation from outside. But what inspires you, it kind of goes back to that first question of, I think it was like, how do you know if you're leading yourself well? And I talked about being inside, if you're at peace and if it's aligned with your values. It's similar, not same, but similar. We can stay inspired even though these folks ain't doing what they're supposed to do, because I'm in a space that aligns with my values. I'm in a space that gives me energy. I'm in a space where I feel I'm called to and that I'm serving in. And so even when I got bosses that don't show up, I got bosses that phone it in, as long as you're not taking away from me, when a boss starts to take away from me and make it worse, then I may want to leave. Because again, if I know when it's time to leave. If I'm spending more to stay, then it's going to cost me to leave. And so even though the inspiration may not be coming from other folks, I'm finding my lane of genius and my lane of gifting and what I'm doing and things that keep me motivated. And so you have to look for self-inspiration and self-motivation. And if you can't find that, then you may not be in a role that you should be in for much longer, right? If you're dreading, life is short, but a vapor, right? Life is but a vapor. This thing we live in here in this body, this human fleshy suit, um, it is but a vapor. And so I'm not looking to not be happy and wake up every day dreading a situation. Like, no, who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. And so, yes, if your leadership is not inspiring, you find your own inspiration and teach your leadership. It's okay to sit down and tell leadership. One of the things that tell your leadership team, one of the things that really encourages me to perform at my highest level, I'm a person words of affirmation. So hearing from you occasionally about, whatever project I'm working on, how you see it, and positively gives me, affirms me, and it inspires me. It gives me inspiration. Hearing from you about your career journey and what you aspire to do in your vision, if I can hear that more frequently, it inspires me to keep contributing. It's okay to pull on people and let them know I expect stuff too. I'm not just here because you expect stuff from me. I expect stuff too. Right. And there's a way, right? I'm not out here like pull out the guns and just go blazing. There's a way that we're going to say that. But again, you are here with the leadership, Auntie. So I'm going to give you the raw. It's okay to have expectation for other people. We're in relationship. We're in mutual relationships with the humans around us. And so surely if you have an expectation for me, it's okay for me to have an expectation for you. So yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you for those couple questions. I feel good that it wasn't just the questions I had locked up. I do want to touch just real quick on imposter syndrome. Oh man, I did a teaching on this. It's on this YouTube channel somewhere, probably like maybe 6 years ago, on imposter syndrome. Maybe 5. It was COVID, so it might have been 5 years ago. Imposter syndrome, my definition of imposter syndrome is different from others. Other people see imposter syndrome, and this is going to be the last topic we touch, and then I'll close out, share something with you, and then we'll call it a night. But most people see imposter syndrome when you don't believe you got the goods to be in a certain kind of place, and so you're an imposter to be there. I see imposter syndrome, and I define imposter syndrome when you show up and you refuse to be who you are. You're an imposter. And so that's the syndrome I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about, oh, you're sitting there like, oh, I don't know if I need to be here. I'm concerned about like, be who you have been designed to be authentically. Because we need you. The earth needs you. And so I guess I can be short with that because there's a whole teaching I do on that. But the earth needs you. I firmly believe I am here to close my mission, and I hope you join me on it, is to close the world's leadership gap. And I firmly believe that the solutions to the earth are in the leaders who are here on earth. Oftentimes we want to point at everybody else like somebody needs to do something, where I'm here to let us all know we are the somebodies. And we have been created, each of us, with gifts to serve the world. And I endeavor to help folks unlock, discover, and develop those gifts. So that's what I had. This is our first Ask Auntie Live. I thank you guys for rocking with me and sharing your questions. Make sure you grab book number 1 out of the series. The series is called Power to Lead. Having the power to lead. Oh, this is about to be so good. Oh my gosh. From $6 to 6 figures, because that's where I came from, right? $6.35 an hour in a career, from a job from the welfare office, getting hired in the welfare office while on welfare, getting hired for $6.35 an hour and building a career to multiple 6 figures, like all with a GED. So, I mean, I am the one. Pull up, grab a seat. Let's talk about it. Your auntie is here, and I'm here for it. All right. Just checking real quick to see if there's any last questions, because we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you're following me on all the social media platforms and all the things, because I'm dropping nuggets there as well. just dropping dimes. Bing, 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 bing. So yeah, pick them up, share them with your, if you're an Xer like me, Gen X, then you may have some adult children. Share it with your adult children. These kids need it. Share it with your coworkers, your church, your women's group. Like, people need help. And so, hey, here's something I learned. Here's something I heard. I was in a conversation and this seasoned executive told me XYZ, right? Share it. We're a community. We're here to help each other. Okay. All right, y'all. Ask Auntie. Follow me on YouTube. Go subscribe now. YouTube at Ask Your at Your Leadership Auntie, and subscribe. It's a catalog of videos there already. If you're looking for some really good, easy to understand instructional leadership on discovering yourself, and just showing up in the world, being a boss, like, it's there. All right, family. I will talk to you guys soon. Don't forget, $6 to 6 figures. Pre-order open now. Small but mighty. You want this, and you want to just do all the things in here that it says do. Pre-order closes tomorrow. DelilahBartlett.com. There's a little banner, but maybe you don't need a banner. I mean, because it's my name, so I mean, it's not hard. DelilahBartlett.com. And I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. All right. Follow all the series that is out there. Leading Beyond the Noise, the disruption of AI, the disruption of global economy, all of it. How to still lead in spaces that sound like that. Like, we're getting into all of it. All right, y'all. All right. Have a good one. Enjoy the evening. And let's just go ahead and get big. Okay. Talk to y'all later.